Across North Wales, from the heart of your local community. This is Crest Radio.
Okay, so I'm back. It's Zara Groves here, and I'm here with my friend Paula Roberts, and we're talking about menopause wellness for real women, because I'm 55 now, and it started for me at the age of 49, and it was a bit of a shock when it started. Even though I'd worked with women for years and years and years, when it happened to me, I was like, oh my God, what's happening? So I know there must be loads and loads of ladies out there that are struggling, so we're going to talk about it. So first things first, what is actually happening with our hormones when we hit the perimenopause?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Well, first of all, let's go back a little bit. So for most of our lives, our hormones, and obviously everyone's very different, so just talking about a textbook example, being very mindful that women have very different experiences of menstrual cycles throughout their lives. But if we're talking textbook menstrual cycle, the hormone pattern is really predictable. So your hormones will start quite low on your first day of your cycle, so your first day of bleed, and then your hormones will rise towards ovulation. So this is like the middle of your cycle, so maybe like day 14. Again, thinking really textbook, everyone's very different. And then towards the end, they'll drop down really low. So estrogen in particular drops down really low just before the whole cycle starts again. And so for me, those last 3 to 5 days of my cycle, that's when I would feel irritable, a little bit grumpy, tired, unmotivated. And even as somebody who practices self-awareness, as a yoga teacher, I'm very kind of aware what's going on with my body and my mind. It would still take me a little while to recognize that, okay, I'm due on my period, that's why I feel like this.
Yeah.
So that's our textbook, what's been happening most of our lives up until this point. So then in perimenopause, it's all over the place. So our hormones fluctuate wildly. It is literally like a roller coaster. So we could be level, feeling completely normal, feeling fine one day, and then the next day our estrogen can dip massively. So we have all those same symptoms, the lack of motivation, the irritability, the low mood, from one day to the next. So it can be there one day and then it can be gone. So you can imagine how, so especially if anyone who isn't experiencing perimenopause or hasn't gone through this, if you can imagine what a roller coaster, what a wild ride that is, to wake up one morning and just feel just not yourself, just feel so low and grumpy and everything's getting on your nerves and not understanding what's going on. Why do you feel like this? So it's really challenging, and a lot of women that I've worked with really do struggle with this.
Yeah, because like you say, we've had most of our lives, haven't we, since puberty, where as much as you can forget and then kind of go, oh yeah, I'm due on, you have that explanation of why these sudden funny moods, or you're suddenly going out and eating 10 bars of chocolate one after the other. You have an explanation, don't you? But when it starts going all over the place, and this is what a lot of women face, isn't it? When they go to the doctors, they can test their hormones one day and the hormones could be normal, and then the next day they're not, and it can send you feeling almost like as if you're going, for me, I thought I was going mad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know women who've been to the doctors and exactly that same thing has happened. So they've had their hormones tested and the doctors said, no, you're not perimenopausal, you're absolutely fine, maybe you're just depressed.
Yes.
And this is a really common thing that I think women need to be aware of, is that antidepressants have been dished out as the first kind of treatment, which it isn't a treatment, so it isn't what we need.
No. Yeah, because I was lucky I had a really good doctor, because I had this crazy anxiety. Now, for somebody that's danced in a field full of 70,000 people and pole danced on a stage in Glastonbury, shyness isn't really my forte. And I can remember thinking, I can't go to work tomorrow, I can't stand on that stage in front of my class, which was 20 people, and thought I was going mental. Went to see the doctor and he said, oh, I think you're perimenopausal. And I had this thing called global anxiety, which was this anxiety that came from nowhere, no rhyme, no reason, no nothing. And luckily I went on HRT pretty quickly, because I then researched myself. But yeah, I couldn't leave the house. I thought I was going mental.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? The effect that they have on it. So we still, again, we don't know. We're just skimming the surface about what we know about hormones and the effect that they have on women.
And what sort of is the average age of women, would you say? So if you're 20 and you're having funny moods, then there's probably something else going on. but if you're, say, in your 40s, is it?
Yeah, so it can start earlier. So menopause, perimenopause can happen at any stage, really. So obviously you have things like surgical menopause. So if people have a hysterectomy, then they go into menopause instantly, which again, I can only imagine, would be such a shock to the system. And quite often it's not really talked about before they go in for the surgery.
Yeah.
But again, if we're talking kind of textbook, then around the age of 40, 45, you might expect to experience some sort of symptoms. And for me, it was just that sleep disturbance initially. But everyone's really different.
Because the one symptom that we all seem to know is hot sweats, isn't it? Because that's what I always thought. When you were menopausal, you would have hot sweats and you'd be moody, and that was it, kind of a thing. That was my only knowledge. But there's heaps and heaps and heaps of symptoms, aren't there?
Yeah, so we talked about estrogen before, so this is one of the main hormones that we talk about with the perimenopause. And we've got estrogen receptors all over our body. So even in our eyes, so we can experience dry eyes. I don't know if you know anyone who's had this, but it's a really common thing. So dry eyes, so anywhere that there's estrogen receptors is going to be affected when this estrogen is going up and down and up and down all the time.
Yeah, so anywhere. One that a lady told me she had, I never had it, is like feeling like spiders are walking across your hands, like these tingles going across your hands. Like you say, it's the estrogen receptors in your skin.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you ever saw that documentary that Davina McCall did, and there was a lady on it, and we have estrogen receptors in our vaginal area on the external, and there was ladies that it was so painful they couldn't wear underwear and they couldn't sit down, and then they found out, but then they didn't know what it was, and they suffered in pain, and then it was as simple as going and getting some cream and it was sorted. And they actually joked in the show saying if this happened to men, there'd be recliners like all around the cities.
And it's true, isn't it? It's true. Yeah, but the so vaginal estrogen is really safe. So it's really simple, really safe to use, and yeah, I think pretty much everybody should have it. It should be made standard for anyone over 40.
Okay, so so do you do HRT, or do you think that's very individual to the person?
So yeah, absolutely. So I'm a menopause wellness coach. So I'm not a menopause expert as in a medical expert at all, but I am a wellness expert. So what I do is use my wellness tools and apply them to perimenopause and menopause. So I wouldn't advise anyone on HRT. I've got my own personal opinions and my own experience of that, but it's not something that I'm qualified or experienced in advising.
I think it's
people.
Very individual as well,
Absolutely,
isn't it?
Yeah. But I do think you need to speak to your GP first of all, and maybe if you don't feel satisfied with what your GP says, then maybe ask to see another GP.
Yeah. So how does mindfulness help with the symptoms then?
Well, mindfulness is basically creating a pause. And I use the term mindfulness and self-awareness kind of interchangeably. And it's really just noticing what's going on with you. So just like we said, those few days before you start your period, you suddenly have that penny drop moment where you're like, oh, I'm due on my period. That's why everyone's getting on my nerves in the queue in Lidl or whatever it is. So what mindfulness does, it teaches us to recognize these things sooner.
Okay.
So, so as soon as you start to feel a little bit irritable, a little bit tired, a little bit emotional, whatever it is, we're so aware that we can just take a little pause and just be like, okay, this is different. There's something going on here. And from there, we've got choices. We can use any of 100 different tools, wellness tools, to help ourselves come back into some sort of state of balance.
Yeah, it is that, isn't it? Because sometimes I think external life, if you're, especially if you're a busy mum with school runs and either a job or a business and a house to run and this, that, the other, and especially when you kind of get into your sort of 40s, 50s, you might be looking after parents as well.
Yeah.
Your life is so crazy hectic that you could put some of the symptoms down to just, this is just being busy and stressed, when actually if you were a bit more in tune with your body and recognizing how you felt on the whole on most days, then you could recognize this isn't normal. There's something I need to do here to help myself.
Yeah, and stress is a big factor as well. So when we're stressed, our nervous system, when it's in a state of stress, everything is exacerbated. So all the things like brain fog and word finding, memory loss, forgetfulness, all these things are just made 100 times worse. Mindfulness does the opposite of that. So it helps to bring our nervous system back to this state of balance, and it can do it really quickly. So even just taking a breath, or I don't know, if you're on your way to the supermarket and you're getting stressed because you knew you had to go to the supermarket to pick up some stuff, but what the hell was it that you had to get? I can't remember what was on that list that I left at home, and you're getting more and more stressed about it. If you just take a moment, maybe just listen to the birds or have a little mindful moment, then that little moment of relaxation can actually help your memory, so it can help you to remember what it was that you had on your shopping list.
Hello, we're back again. So it's me, Zara Groves, and Paula Roberts, and we're talking all about the menopause. Before the music, we were talking about stress and the impact of stress on our hormones and everything else. So
Yeah, so it can make symptoms worse. So things like anxiety, brain fog, they're all exacerbated when we're stressed.
Yeah.
And just knowing that you're going through this perimenopause itself is really stressful, and seeing that you're acting differently with your family and people annoying you, and you might have work challenges. Work is a huge thing for the women that I work with, actually, and it can be a real source of stress.
Yeah.
But that stress can make your symptoms worse. So it's really important that we've got these little tools to help us to manage stress. And mindfulness, like we said, and this self-awareness is, I would say, the best tool to manage it.
So I've heard you talk about, obviously, because I know I've heard you talk about realistic mindfulness. And what do you mean by realistic mindfulness?
Yeah, so a lot of mindfulness practices sound great. You sit on the floor with crossed legs for 20 minutes and just focus on your breath. But for most of us, this isn't realistic. It's not something that we can do if we're feeling stressed in the middle of Asda.
That would be funny, though.
And even the simple things, there's an exercise that some of your listeners might be familiar with called the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding exercise.
Oh, yeah.
And you focus on like 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, or something like that. So as you can probably tell, even that is too much for me to remember, and I teach it. So if you're stressed, you're not going to be like, oh, hang on, what do I need to focus on 3 things I can smell or something. So break it down, take it to the most simple level, and just listen. So just, what can you hear? If you're outside, just listen. And just that, focusing on your senses. So maybe you're more of a visual person, so just looking around, just focus on what you can see in front of you without any judgment. That is mindfulness. That's all it is. That's all you need to do. So focus on your senses, and that brings you into the state of balance, or a more balanced state in your nervous system. And then we create a little space, and in that space we can choose, what do we want to do next? How do we want to respond? So that's essentially what mindfulness is. And there's loads and loads of evidence that shows that mindfulness has a positive effect on how women experience the menopause.
Okay, that's good then.
Yeah.
So it's almost like calming your mind down in whichever way you find easy to do. Like you say, when we think of mindfulness, we think of somebody sitting there meditating, don't we? But obviously, if you've got this crazy busy life, I think a lot of people will be like, well, where am I meant to find the time for that as well? That's another thing I've got to fit into my day.
Yeah.
So you're saying you can do it as simple as just, it's almost focusing on something else, isn't it?
Yeah, so just putting your focus, putting your attention on something. So for some women, focusing on the breath isn't quite enough. So a lot of women have very busy minds, especially anyone with ADHD type symptoms. So I think the physical body is our best tool. Making a fist, so just squeezing and making a fist and just focusing on how that feels. So maybe you feel your fingernails against your palm and the muscles in your forearms. So just bringing all of your attention into that physical sensation, and then releasing it and noticing the difference. What's that, like 5 seconds? But just doing that starts to calm the nervous system straight away.
Yeah, I do that. I've got a bit of claustrophobia, so if suddenly everything gets a bit too much, too many people, or all of a sudden I'm in a lift and there's loads of people have just suddenly squashed into this lift, and I kind of go, oh, I don't like this. I've never been able to do breath work to calm me down, because what happens when I start getting a bit frightened is my heart starts to speed up. So when I start concentrating on my breath, I'm now focusing on my heartbeat, which then makes it even faster.
Yeah.
So what I found for me was I would stab my self with my nails. So almost like clenching and releasing my nails into the palms of my hand, and that little digging, because it does kind of quite hurt you, and that like little digging into the palms of your hand would make my brain then be going ow, 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 ow at my hands.
Don't hurt yourself though.
Well, no, it's not crazy. I'm a bit of a wuss, so it probably doesn't hurt anybody else. But that little then makes my mind kind of go ow, 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 and then I forget then that I was just getting scared because all of these people have just suddenly crowded my space.
Yeah.
So it's like you say, it's making my mind focus on something completely different.
Yeah. And there's so much we can do. So everyone is different, and in the workshops that I do with women, we experience loads of different tools, different ways to do this, to focus the mind and to then calm the mind. So the first thing, like you said, is to focus the mind, and then the side effect, I like to use the phrase happy side effect, is that we feel calmer, we feel relaxed. But yeah, the first step is just focusing, and it can be anything. It can be from tapping, so some of your listeners might be familiar with EFT or tapping.
Yeah.
Anything that just draws your attention to it completely.
Yeah. So apart from mindfulness, what else can women do to focus on?
Yeah, so there's 3 big things really that make the biggest difference. So the first one is sleep, and then nutrition, and movement. So some people say exercise, I like to just say movement. So sleep is, like I said earlier, sleep was the first thing that I noticed that went completely out the window. So I personally have changed a few things in my routine, my lifestyle to help me to sleep better. So we call this sleep hygiene. Again, you might be familiar with the term. It basically just means putting things in place to help you sleep better. So staying away from screens for an hour or 2 before bed, not eating too late, keeping the lights down low before you go to bed, and getting a bit of movement before, so maybe an hour or 2 before bed as well, can really help you to sleep well.
When you say movement, do you mean like walking around the house, or do you mean doing some yoga, or what do you mean?
It can be whatever you want.
Anything.
You can have a dance around the kitchen if you want, Sarah. I know you do that.
That would wake me up.
One of the sessions that I do, so I do a 4-week course, and one of the weeks is all about movement. So we do yoga. If you can combine breath and movement together, that has a bigger calming effect on your system. But you don't have to do that. Any kind of movement will help. So just moving our bodies. Again, it can be an act of mindfulness, but we're shifting energy around, so it helps to calm us down. So it could be going for a walk, it could be doing some, I tell the women on my course, I don't do strength training as such. I don't go to the gym to do strength training, but I do walking lunges. So I walk around the house doing lunges every morning. You know this already, you've seen me do it in hotel rooms with you.
Yeah, no.
And I do it, so I make it part of my routine. So I do it when I go and open the curtains in the morning. So I'm doing walking lunges around the house, opening my curtains. So it's just building these little bits of movement into your daily routine. It doesn't need to be 20 minutes in the gym, or an hour on the treadmill, or anything like that.
Yeah, I've been telling my Pilates ladies that when they're cleaning their teeth to stand on one leg, and doing things like that. So it's no extra time. It's incorporating, like you say.
I do all sorts of things when I brush my teeth.
I tell everybody that you do that kiss the ceiling for your face yoga when you go to the toilet.
Oh yes, yeah, a bit of face yoga on the loo.
Oh dear. But yeah, there's lots of things, isn't there, because sleep is one of the biggest one that I hear people complaining about. I think people struggle with sleep generally because their lives are so busy.
Yeah.
And if you have a lack of sleep, I know personally, if I have a lack of sleep I'm instantly irritable the next day, regardless of what's going on in my body. So sleep is so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's where our body repairs itself. It's where we reset for the day ahead. So there is other things, isn't there, like calming drinks, like chamomile drinks and
so staying away from caffeine later on, and tea as well. So I know we talk about coffee, but tea has got a lot of caffeine in it too, so staying off the tea kind of in the afternoon.
Some lavender pillow mist for your bed to make that smell nice. Okay then, and anything else that they could focus on to help?
So nutrition. So again, I don't really like the word diet, because diet has these kind of negative connotations. So really we don't want to be restricting calories at any point in our life, you know, unless we're advised by a doctor to do that. But eating a healthy, balanced diet is really important during this stage of life. So staying hydrated, making sure our blood sugar is balanced, so we're not eating too much sugar, and we're balancing it out with enough protein to, again, that will help with our energy and our mood. So in the afternoons I like to, this is only the last few months really, I've started snacking on a little bit of feta with some olives and some mixed seeds and a bit of olive oil on there. So really kind of good fats and things that support your gut microbiome as well. So there's lots of things that you can include in your diet. So I would always look at what can you add into your diet rather than taking things away.
Yeah. Or maybe exchanging all the chocolate bars for...
Well,
a little bit.
A little bit of chocolate doesn't do any harm.
I agree, a little bit of chocolate doesn't do any harm. Okay, I'm going to put another song on now, and then we'll come back in a sec to finish off with you, Paula. Okay, so we're back again for our last few minutes. I can't believe our hour is almost over. This hour goes far too fast, I have to say. So, Paula, you've given these ladies lots of things to think about and lots of helpful tips. If they want to work with you more, how, you know, you said you've got workshops and stuff, so how do they find you?
Yeah, so the best thing to do is go to my website, Happy Yoga Wales, and have a look on there. They can also actually go to the store, so happyyogawales.com, and then go to the store, and if they use the coupon code ZARA,
woo!
then you can download the PDF workbook with some follow along videos for mindfulness menopause. So that's in the store, they'll find it right there. And then the best thing to do is to sign up to my newsletter, and you'll be the first to hear about any upcoming workshops. There's one going on at the moment that runs until the end of November. So I run 4-week workshops where we explore all these different tools to empower women, and where women can just feel like they're not on their own in all of this. So we were talking over the music, saying that how that there's so much power in just coming together and realizing that actually there's other people going through this exact same thing, and that's really important just in itself, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, they can do that. They can also join my online yoga membership if they want to practice a little bit of yoga. I've got loads of over 100 short yoga videos with some mindfulness as well in there. And then the other thing I do is pop-up yoga just across the road, actually, in the Snowdon Craft Brewery. So all of that information is on the website, so go to happyyogawales.com and you'll find it all there.
So your yoga membership is online, is it?
It's an online membership, yeah, so it's £10 a month, and they get access to live Zoom classes, but then there's also a video vault with over 100 classes, and they're suitable for beginners. There's strength training in there, so strength yoga classes, and then there's lots of really gentle, restful practices as well, so something for every mood, every need that you might have.
And then the pop-up is, you just announced, don't you, I'm going to be doing a class, what time is best for people, and people vote and you kind of do it, don't you?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I've got a really big WhatsApp group. There's about 200 people in there, and I just pop a little poll up and say, okay, which day, which time suits everyone best, and go with the majority. It's great.
That's
really good
brilliant.
work.
I've come to one of those. We did it in the park. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That's the only problem now is the winter, isn't it? So we have to go indoors. So you're literally, so for those of you listening don't know actually where we are, we're actually in Crest in Llandudno Junction. and round the corner is, what's it called?
It's the Snowdon Craft Brewery. Yeah, they've got
so
a tap room there.
So you get a beer after.
Well, yeah, it's a yoga social. So the idea is that everyone practices on their own, does a little. So I'm all about little and often, Zara. So little and often, a little bit of yoga, a little bit of mindfulness every day at home. And then when you can, hopefully one of these times and days that we do the pop-ups will work for you. Come along and have a little bit of yoga, a little bit of a social.
Brilliant. Oh, thank you so much for coming in today, Paula. It's been so lovely to chat to you.
Thank you for having me.
And so everybody, Happy Yoga Wales. If you search for Happy Yoga Wales, you will find her. She's all over the social media. You're pretty much on every platform like I am, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Good. And thank you everybody for listening. And next week we are talking about Ayurvedic treatments and Ayurveda and how that will benefit the body. And I'm going to play out this song. I found this song on my TikTok. I absolutely love the song. So I hope you love it too. Have a fabulous day, everybody. And I love you lots. Bye.